So last week, Oscar Piastri, at his home race, had a great opportunity to win. He was up front the majority of the day. He's got the quickest car. He was right on Lando Norris's heels. And then it started raining. And he started spinning. And he did not win, obviously. But he had a great chance at winning his home race. Falls short, heartbroken. Everyone wants to win their home race. So how does he respond? Is he going to crumble under the pressure? Is he going to be depressed and all sad? No. Oscar Piastri shows up this weekend. He gets himself some nice, juicy redemption by getting the pole, first of all, and then leading the majority of the laps today and winning. He dominated today, led the majority of the race. We'll talk about the other lap leaders here in a bit, but yeah, currently 3:57 a.m. at time of recording here in the US of A, so I am tired, so we're going to make this a quick one. But Oscar Piastri dominated today. Lando Norris had brake issues late. There was about a 10-second threat of rain. That's about it. Pretty boring race compared to last week. Last week had the rain. It had the excitement. It had people going off track. It had people not knowing who was going to win for like 2/3 of that thing. And today, not much. Yeah, getting up at 2 a.m. for that was certainly a life choice of mine. Let's go to the results of this race. I'll try to remember what I can on this limited brain power. Oscar Piastri is your winner. He is the second winner of 2025 in only 2 races. McLaren still 2 for 2 on the season because the other winner was Lando Norris. As I said, they still look to be the quickest so far. They were the favorites heading into this year in terms of the constructors' standings. Lando Norris was the favorite for the drivers' championship. But Piastri showed up this weekend. He was the fastest in the qualifying, fastest in the race. I know the sprint was a little bit different with Hamilton dominating that, Hamilton being on pole for that. But in terms of the main event, the one that hands out more points, Piastri, McLaren dominated the rest of this thing. Lando Norris finishes second. He had some brake issues late in this race. He had to get by George Russell. George Russell had gotten by him in the pit cycle. There were some thoughts that this could be a 2-stop race, but only like 2 people did a 2-stopper, and it worked horridly for him. So, yeah, everyone did a 1-stopper, but once Lando Norris got by Russell, Piastri was too far ahead, and Norris cut it down to like 2.5 seconds at one point, but then he started getting brake issues. He was in communication with the pit wall, talking about, hey, it's getting worse. Is the pedals going long? Like, is this a problem? Or not, is this a problem? Like, what's the problem? How much do I need to attend to this? And then finally, with like 3 laps to go, they said, yeah, you need to back off. And then the last lap, they're like, yeah, just bring it home. You know, you're fighting for a championship. It's better to finish second than, not finish at all and get nothing. So just back off, take your second place, take your points, and that's a championship mentality, honestly. Like, sometimes we see people in these situations, they're pushing, they're trying to catch up, get the win, and they push too hard, they have a problem, they spin out, they wreck, kill the brakes, and you don't get any points. So, good decision there. Ends up finishing almost 10 seconds off the lead, but once again, that's not reflective. That was just the brake problems. So Lando Norris second. George Russell gets his second podium of the season by finishing third in this one. He was catching up to Lando Norris on that last lap because of obviously the brake issue, as I said. Yeah, just feel like this is once again George Russell just kind of it's just there. Like, he didn't do anything spectacular, but he didn't do anything bad. He did what he was supposed to do today, which is you're not quite as quick as the McLarens, but you're better than everyone else, so take a podium, take a trophy, take a good chunk of points. Good job, George Russell. 4th place, Max Verstappen. It was looking like a horrid weekend for him. They got some points in the sprint. Did not qualify great by their standards. I think he was 5th, 6th, something like that. I don't remember. Anyways, Verstappen's back in 6th at one point in this race. Then he's up to 5th. And at the end of this race, like as the race went on, as the fuel got lower or as the tires wore out more, just suddenly he was super fast again. Hamilton pitted for fresh tires when Verstappen was catching up to him, and that backfired. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Verstappen was able to chase down Leclerc. and pass him and gap him by 7 seconds. So the Red Bull, that looked pretty bad this weekend compared to their rivals, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, they actually did pretty decent, or at least Verstappen did pretty decent, I should say. 5th place, Charles Leclerc. Him and his teammate Lewis Hamilton made a little bit of contact on lap 1. Leclerc just kind of gave him a little boop and got rid of the front wing end plate, and he drove the rest of the race like that, but he was still quicker than Hamilton, so that was something. Hamilton let him by at one point. I wish they would race it out because I think teammates letting each other by is lame and dumb, and we're here to race. We're not here to pull over and let people by. I don't really care if you're teammates or not. Please race it out in the future. I know these teams won't. This is not a Ferrari thing. This is an everyone thing. Anyways, it's 4 a.m. Let me rant. But he ends up finishing 5th. Good for him. Lewis Hamilton 6th. They tried a 2-stop strategy. Normally, I'm all for ripping Ferrari for a bad strategy, but at this point in the race, they were 5th place. They weren't winning the thing. They weren't even getting a podium because Leclerc was ahead of Hamilton. So if they were going to get a podium, it was going to be with Leclerc if something freaky happened. So Hamilton's their second car at this point. Verstappen is quicker than him at this point of the race. Why not try something different? Why not throw something out there, see what you can do? It didn't work out because they didn't catch Verstappen, and they didn't really, they technically were a net loss, but I still think Verstappen would have passed Hamilton even if they stayed out the rest of the race. So technically a net loss, but at least they tried something different. For once, it was a different Ferrari strategy, but it wasn't the levels of, staying out while it's raining on your dry tires. Man, that was 1 week ago. Ferrari strategy, ladies and gentlemen. What a day for Haas. Esteban Ocon picks up his first points as a Haas driver. Gets, let me do some math here, 6 whole points. I think that's how the math works. Good job, Haas. Kimi Antonelli 8th. Somehow won driver of the day. I don't really know how. It was such an uneventful race. I don't know how anyone won driver of the day. Alex Albon led laps today. Not making that up. Everyone pitted so early that Albon was able to stay out, and he led 4 laps. So good for him. Stat pad, baby. I'm all for stat padding, that lap sled category. Good for him. Ollie Behrman picks up his first points as a full-time driver. He did score points for Haas last year as a reserve driver and Ferrari as well. But, good for him. Double points for Haas. Non-point scorers were Pierre Gasly. Lance Stroll was up in the podium spots for about a quarter of a lap. That was thrilling for me. Sainz, Hadjar, Lawson, Doohan decided to run Hadjar off and got a 10-second penalty. That was a little stupid. Let's be real. He ran him off track. He didn't wreck him. He didn't spin him. I don't think they even touched him. He got 10 seconds. That's stupid. I don't think it's worthy of a penalty at all. Maybe 5 seconds. It wasn't even that extreme, though. So 10 seconds, that was dumb. Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda had a front wing just break out of, he didn't touch anything. He didn't hit anything. Just going down the front stretch. Front wing just decides to off itself. So that was something, I guess. And then Fernando Alonso's brakes decided to freaking die on lap 3. All right, let's get this thing edited and uploaded. Chinese Grand Prix. It's a cool track, at least. I love that first little loop-de-loop section. But yeah, kind of a boring race. Got about an hour or 2 hours or something of sleep before this one. Not as exciting as Australia last week. Hopefully the next one is a little bit more exciting. I think it's Japan next. Correct me if I'm wrong. But thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoy. I know it was a quick recap. We can talk more about it on Monday night. Monday night in the U.S., we do our weekly live stream where we kind of just recap the weekend. It's more focused on NASCAR, but we also talk about F1. So I need to get some sleep before NASCAR. Speaking of, we got Homestead Miami.